We're back with Nancy Cintrón, and we're finding out all about how students, what kind of advice is given to students about careers here at Lehman College. And we were just about to talk about resumes, which is very, very important. Right. How do they begin? How do you begin to even structure a resume? What do you put on it? Some of these students come to me and say, Professor, I have no clue how to even get started.
Yeah, well, the resume is something, as I see it, it's an advertising tool of the individual. And that's the first thing I say. You're marketing yourself with this resume.
Sell yourself.
You're selling yourself, exactly. This is something, usually the resume is the first thing that a prospective employer will look at. Mm-hmm. They haven't met you. They don't know how charming you are. They don't know anything yet. But it's the first thing that they'll look at. So what we tell them to do, so we do offer workshops, and we introduce them to the concept of a resume. There's different types of resumes. You know, we have the basic chronological resume. There's a functional chronological resume. So there are many different styles.
Are there specific resumes for different fields that you
Sure,
want to pursue?
Absolutely. So let's say in the communications field, you know, they learn how to, particularly in this media, they learn how to handle certain equipment. That's important to indicate, I would imagine. A prospective employer would want to know, you know, what they're able to do.
Just like you might want to say, I'm bilingual, I speak 3 languages.
Absolutely.
You might also want to say, I also speak
Those are the
HTML,
skills area. Exactly.
Computer language.
There's the technical skills, okay? There's the interpersonal abilities that they can do, okay? Also on the resume, you know, internships that they've had, extracurricular activities, you know, professional associations that they may belong to. I'm sure there's professional associations in the field of journalism, media, whatever it may be. That's important. There's student memberships for all these professional associations. And you know what? It's a good way for networking for them.
Okay, so what about the cover letter? Because that's also
the cover letter. I feel personally, I think the cover letter is very important. I think that, you know, what's happening nowadays, though, sometimes, you know, people are applying online, you know, through a company website, and usually they just ask them, you know, upload, you know, download your resume,
Not
and
very
that's
personal.
it. And, you know, right. But if you are mailing it or faxing it, definitely, I would say you need a cover letter with your resume, because the way I see it, the cover letter really responds particularly to the type of position you're going for. And so you have a job description, you have, you know, it's telling you what they need. So it is your duty to let them know that you can meet that need for them in that cover letter. And it also gives the employer an opportunity to see how well you can communicate.
But if you, let's say you're applying for, I have a student here, for example, who's applying for CBS, a job at CBS. And how important is it for that, and this student knows somebody at CBS who recommended this student, okay? How important is it for that student to convey that in that letter to the person that he's writing to? Look, I have a contact. From personal experience, I can tell you that most of my letters like that, cover letters, began with, a mutual friend, so-and-so, told me to write you, because it grabs their attention. Here's, oh, my friend recommended this guy.
You know, Mr. Miguel Perez suggested that I, you know, contact you in reference to a position with your organization. Absolutely, definitely, that's important. That's what I'm saying. The connections, relationships are really important. So.
Okay, and how competitive nowadays the job market with the economy the way it is? Is it harder to find a job? What kind of advice? Is there a different advice that you're giving students nowadays because of the economy?
Well, it's not easy. You know, as we read, you know, and hear in the news, you know, a lot of layoffs are going on. A lot of companies are closing down. You know, I had a recent graduate that was working for a very prestigious financial firm, and you know, now, you know, they've merged. It's merged, but he was lucky. He started the position just a couple of months ago. He was very fortunate that he merged with the company, and he's staying there with them. But it's very difficult, and so I would say for a student that's not sure, I would say keep your options very open. Find out, maybe pursue industries that maybe you weren't even considering, and find out if they need someone with your skills and abilities.
Also consider leaving town? Sometimes the jobs are not in New York.
Relocation is really, I tell students, you know, maybe there's a possibility of relocation. If you're willing to do that, why not? You know, that's another way of doing it too.
In journalism, definitely most
I
of the
would
time,
say
they have to
definitely.
leave town, start in a smaller market, and eventually work their way
And
back to
work
New
their
York.
way back. If they're serious about this field, if they're serious about this career track, they would do whatever they have to do to, you know, get the position. The first thing is get your foot in the door, right? And so once you're there, you can acquire that experience and, like you said, return to your roots if that's what you want, you know.
What about a student at Lehman who graduated, a graduate from Lehman who left college a couple of years ago and still needs advice in getting?
Unfortunately, we do get quite a few of those, you know.
But do you advise them? Do you service them as well?
Yes, we service alumni, Lehman alumni.
So they can come in anytime and say, listen, I still need help with the resume.
We
or the
do
job.
ask that they become part of the Alumni Association. You know, that's another office that we collaborate with, and so that way they can, by becoming an alumni member, they have access to a lot of the resources in the college, and one of them is our office. So yes, we get a lot of students that, alumni that return. By the way, I wanted to mention the fact that we also have an online alumni mentoring network.
How does that work?
Okay. Basically, it's a number of Lehman alumni who have agreed to serve as online mentors to our students. These are alumni who are in a variety of professions, from teachers to doctors, you name it. We've had, and so far we have about 100.
And you
that
hook
have
them up
agreed.
with one student and they advise?
With one or two students, and this is all online, okay, technology. If they want to meet in person, they can do that. So I have a coordinator, I have someone that, you know, will interview the student, the mentee, the prospective mentee, to make sure that he or she understands how the program works. And then this person will try to match the student with a mentor.
And does the mentor sometimes find the student a job here and there?
It could happen, but that one of the conditions is that that's one of the first things that we tell the student. Please, that's not the first thing you're going to ask your mentor.
Don't apply for a job the first time you meet
Or
the
don't
guy.
say, can you get me a job? You know, again, it's developing relationships, Miguel. That's so important. The relationship issue. Once you do that, then things may happen. You know.